Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Tonight we expose 7 self-betrayals that quietly shatter mastery and send confidence crashing. What's straight through, missing even one habit can keep you chained. While you're here, hit like, punch subscribe, and share your moment of awakening in the comments. Your story might yank another man back from the edge. Chapter 1. Saying yes to everything. The dinner is her choice, the movie is her pick, the weekend trip bends around her calendar, and you nod and smile through it all like a well-trained customer service bot. Every decision, every plan, every negotiation tips quietly toward her side, and you convince yourself you're being agreeable, thoughtful, even chivalrous. But beneath the politeness, she senses something missing: no edge, no spine, no man, only a compliant echo standing where leadership should be. Stoics taught that boundaries are not walls to isolate us, they are the architecture of virtue itself. Without firm edges, character collapses into mush, and whatever you called connection erodes into resentment and boredom. Every reflexive yes you give trades away a sliver of dignity for the brittle reward of temporary peace. It's the same grim bargain a conquered city makes with an occupying army: surrender autonomy today to avoid immediate conflict, even as freedom dies by degrees. And women, consciously or not, detect the death of freedom in you. They feel when you're operating from fear of disapproval rather than from anchored desire. They might accept the easy victories at first, choose the restaurant, dictate the plan, but over time, the respect meter drains to empty, and with it, attraction follows. A confident man audits every request against his core principles before committing. He does not default to yes because silence feels uncomfortable. He does not abandon his calendar, his energy, or his ambitions to play the agreeable role. Instead, he pauses, assesses, and answers firmly from a place of self-respect. When he declines, he does so without flinching and without apology. "That doesn't align with my plan. How about Tuesday instead?" Simple, calm, unashamed. That moment of brief tension created by a boundary is not failure, it's the forge where deeper respect is born. And the steel that emerges from that forge is unbreakable trust. A woman who respects you relaxes within your frame because she knows storms won't snap it. She feels safe not because you coddle her, but because you cannot be blown over by moods, whims, or momentary inconvenience. You are not rigid, you are rooted. In contrast, a woman who senses she can bend and reprogram you will not admire you, she will eventually despise you. Because acquiescence, no matter how well-intentioned, signals self-erasure. It broadcasts to the world, "I have no internal compass. Direct me as you please." And no woman dreams of partnering with a man who cannot even guide himself. This isn't about becoming oppositional for the sake of resistance. It's about practicing deliberate refusal as a discipline, exercising the muscle of no so that when it counts, it holds. Skip an after-hours invite that compromises your sleep schedule for trivial gains. Decline a loan request that derails your financial goals. Choose the sushi place once in a while and announce it with the same calm tone you use to hold a plank under fire. Each boundary laid becomes a brick in the foundation of your masculine presence. Boundaries also recalibrate attraction on a biochemical level. When you assert your priorities, your cortisol, stress hormone, drops because you've defended your space, while her oxytocin, trust hormone, rises because she sees you're a man capable of saying, "Here is my line." Boundaries broadcast certainty, and certainty magnetizes more reliably than any rehearsed compliment or expensive dinner ever could. Make it a weekly practice, once every 7 days. Scan your interactions for a moment when saying yes would have been easier but saying no would have been correct. Choose the no. Endure the momentary discomfort. Watch what happens over time. You will feel your own respect for yourself climb. She will feel it too, even if she can't immediately articulate why. Her regard for you grows heavier, denser, more serious. Because ultimately, saying yes to everything isn't kindness, it's self-betrayal. And self-betrayal leaks through body language, micro-expressions, voice tone. It doesn't matter how many compliments you give, how much attention you shower her with, or how many good guy points you think you're scoring. Without authentic boundaries, every yes sounds hollow. Every plan agreed upon feels flimsy. Every moment together floats, untethered, because no real frame has been offered. A strong boundary, delivered respectfully, frames not just the relationship, but your entire life. It organizes chaos. It builds trust. It sends a message far louder than words. I am a man you can count on, not because I yield, but because I stand. And in a world flooded with noise, men who can stand calmly, firmly, consistently, become beacons that real women recognize without fail. Say yes when it aligns with your mission. Say no when it doesn't. And never again confuse endless accommodation for love. It's not. It's erasure. Build walls where needed. Plant flags where deserved. Invite her into a world with shape, purpose, and direction. If she's the right one, she'll admire the castle you've built, and she'll want to stay. Chapter 2. Chasing Women. Chasing means sprinting after someone who isn't moving toward you. It's a lopsided pursuit, a man charging forward while the woman strolls away, indifferent or distracted. Pursuit, when healthy, is synchronized footwork, two people matching rhythms, adjusting pace, exchanging signals. Chase is a one-man marathon, fueled by hope and fantasy, ending with exhaustion, resentment, or rejection. And the tragedy is not only in the heartbreak, it's in the energy siphoned from your true mission. The Stoics warned relentlessly against craving what depends on another's will. Anything outside your direct control, her affection, her attention, her commitment, must not anchor your happiness. Because dependence breeds anxiety, and anxiety sabotages self-respect. When a man bombards her phone with emojis and inside jokes she hasn't earned yet, when he flips work meetings to accommodate her unpredictable availability, when he tosses compliments like expired coupons hoping one gets scanned, he hoists an invisible flag that screams, "My worth is negotiable. Please validate me." And women read that flag faster than you realize. Under daylight, desperation glows like ultraviolet ink, invisible to the desperate but blindingly obvious to those being chased. A woman, subconsciously or consciously, steps back. Her instincts tell her, if he needs me to feel valuable, he will need too much later, and attraction collapses under the weight of that future burden. Confident men play a different game altogether. They extend one clear, simple invitation: coffee at noon, gallery opening on Friday, a hike at sunrise. They offer, not beg. They observe, not chase. If interest is reciprocated, momentum builds naturally, like water finding its level. If interest is withheld, they exit without an exit speech, without resentment, without playing mind games to manufacture desire where none exists. They understand that pursuit must be mutual, or it is not pursuit at all, it is imbalance, and imbalance never births love, only obligation. The energy saved by refusing to chase becomes rocket fuel for everything else that matters. Deadlifts pulled from the ground until the spine hums with strength. New languages mastered syllable by syllable until conversation flows on foreign streets. Strategic plans outlined until dreams have blueprints. Chasing women is a leak in the boat of ambition. Patch it, and suddenly your life gains momentum too powerful to ignore. Your movements sharpen. Your conversations deepen. Your aura shifts from seeking approval to building legacy. Ironically, progress attracts genuine interest faster than pursuit ever could. Women tuned to quality sense it immediately. They feel the gravitational pull of a man who stands in his lane, unmoved by fickle validation. They notice the one who doesn't flinch when plans fall through, who doesn't pout when texts lag, who doesn't dance for scraps of attention. They see the man who chooses companionship, not the man who requires it for self-worth. Stand in your lane, firm and focused. Build your projects, nurture your mind, sculpt your body, sharpen your craft. The right women, those aligned with your mission, will signal clearly. They won't require decoding or second-guessing. They will step into rhythm naturally, without you dragging or convincing them. Relationships built on chasing start with imbalance and end with resentment. Relationships built on synchronized movement begin with self-respect and end with mutual elevation. The Stoics teach us that freedom lies in desiring only that which depends on us. Chase ruins freedom. It demands you warp your schedule, your priorities, your dignity around the unpredictable whims of another. Even when you win through chasing, you lose, because what you won was not genuine interest, but a fragile facade bought with your own sovereignty. When you feel the urge to chase, pause. Recenter. Reinvest that energy into something that compounds over time: a book, a business, a body transformation, a new skill, a new language. Every ounce of energy spent chasing approval is energy stolen from empire building. And every ounce redirected to your personal empire becomes a lighthouse women cannot ignore. This discipline extends beyond dating. Chase corrodes friendships, careers, even fitness goals when you beg outcomes instead of building toward them. Build systems, not schemes. Build routines, not wishful thinking. Build momentum so real that anyone not moving toward you is simply outpaced and outgrown. Real pursuit feels like gravity, not gasoline. It feels mutual, organic, inevitable. Chase feels like force, like friction, like trying to sprint through water. You know the difference when you experience it. One uplifts, the other drains. So make a vow today: I will not chase. I will not surrender my timeline, my plans, or my peace for someone unwilling to match pace. I will offer connection. I will offer adventure. I will offer authenticity. But I will never offer my self-respect as a bargaining chip. Stand in your lane, eyes forward, stride confident. Those meant to merge will not need to be chased. They will step into rhythm naturally, match your momentum, and co-author a journey that neither of you has to beg for, because true alignment cannot be coerced. It can only be recognized, accepted, and honored. Chapter 3: Seeking Validation or Approval. You post a gym mirror selfie at golden hour, not to celebrate progress but to collect fire emojis. You check your phone every 6 minutes to see who responded, who saw, who hearted. You tailor your jokes, your stories, even your beliefs to match the trending sentiment of the moment, hoping your audience claps instead of questions. You slip into a room and scan for micro-reactions. Did they laugh at your joke? Did she seem impressed? Did that comment land? When you live for validation, your confidence isn't confidence. It's a contract with the crowd, signed daily in your silence, sealed by your conformity. The Stoics would call this spiritual enslavement. Marcus Aurelius asked himself not did they praise me, but did I do the work, with justice and effort? Stoic confidence is rooted not in the reactions of others, but in the reflection of the self. When your self-worth requires applause, you're no longer building a life, you're performing one. And every performance eventually exhausts the actor. Modern society seduces you into this trap. Social platforms are engineered to monetize insecurity. You post the photo, the opinion, the flex, not because it expresses something genuine, but because it scores higher on the algorithm of attention. And you feel it, that split-second high when someone double-taps your life. But what follows isn't security, it's addiction. Like gambling, the reward comes inconsistently. One post explodes, the next flops. And with every empty notification bar, your sense of value sinks lower. That roulette wheel of affirmation spins dopamine into dependence, and the only way to feel alive again is to spin it again. True confidence, Stoic confidence, has nothing to do with the applause. It has everything to do with answering this: did I live aligned today? Did I keep my word to myself? Did I uphold my values when no one was watching? Did I choose action over ego? That's the scorecard. That's the metric. Women feel this immediately. The validation-seeking man leaks energy. He over-explains. He asks if she agrees, if he's right, if she liked the story. He texts for confirmation, not connection. He's scanning her every expression for signs of approval, like a child watching a parent's face for cues. And she feels it. Not as sweetness. As pressure. The self-validated man, on the other hand, doesn't need to be correct to feel centered. He enjoys sharing because he enjoys expressing. His tone is grounded. His posture relaxed. If she agrees, great. If not, also fine. He doesn't bend under opinions because his spine was built through repetition of discipline, of solitude, of choosing truth even when it cost him popularity. And that difference hits deep. One man drains, the other uplifts. One is a vortex of need, the other is a lighthouse of presence. Break this cycle by installing private scoreboards. Start with daily, invisible wins, pages read, miles run, water consumed, tasks completed. Journal your progress. Reflect on it. Celebrate without telling anyone. Make the reward internal: peace, clarity, strength. Validate yourself like a craftsman evaluates his own work. No one needs to applaud the clean edges of a perfectly planed wooden table but him. The same applies to you. Every day you uphold your own standard without requiring recognition. You build psychological independence, and women pick up on it like a signal in the air. External praise will still arrive, but now it lands as a pleasant echo, not a survival ration. You're no longer desperate for it. You're grateful, but not defined. You're grounded. And from that groundedness, you can receive attention without shifting identity to earn more. That's what creates the magnetic contrast. When she compliments your voice, you don't overreact. When she disagrees with your view, you don't collapse. You remain intact. And in that steadiness, she finds peace. Because now her emotional experience isn't about regulating your ego. She's not hired to prop you up. She's free to simply connect, to express, to be herself around a man who's already full. This doesn't mean you never care what others think. It means you filter their feedback through a deeper question. Does this align with the man I'm becoming? If yes, you adjust. If not, you let it go. Confidence, then, becomes a conversation with your highest self, not your loudest critics or flakiest admirers. This shift also transforms rejection. When you don't seek approval, rejection doesn't sting, it instructs. It becomes data, not a dagger. You walk away from the uninterested woman not crushed, but clear. You thank the critic because you value refinement. And the silence of no applause no longer scares you, it calms you. It becomes space to build, not a void to fill. So here's your daily litmus test. Would you still do it if no one saw it? Would you train this hard, dress this well, speak this clearly, build this project, if there was no audience, just you and the mirror? If yes, you're walking the Stoic path. And when you walk it long enough, your presence will begin to speak louder than your profile ever could. She'll see it in how you walk, in how you listen, in how you don't need her to tell you you're enough, because you already decided that this morning, before the world had a chance to cast its vote. Chapter 4. Playing the victim. Blame slides off your shoulders like rain off marble, splattering onto exes who never understood you, bosses who held you back, or algorithms that stole your dreams. You narrate sagas of injustice to anyone too polite to interrupt, weaving yourself into a passive tapestry of bad luck and unfair breaks. But the Stoics never indulged such illusions. Marcus Aurelius wrote each dawn, "You could leave life right now." Let that determine what you do and say and think. In other words, no more time could be wasted rehearsing victimhood when action was still possible. Playing the victim doesn't just squander opportunities, it squanders your finite dawn, the irreplaceable fuel meant for building, shaping, and transforming. It frames life as something happening to you, instead of something crafted by you. High-value women, especially those shaping their own lives with intention, filter men ruthlessly for accountability. Why? Because real partnership demands a co-pilot who can course-correct during turbulence, not one who buckles and narrates the storm. Parenting, finances, family, health, all of it requires problem solvers, not problem explainers. They don't want a man who can draft endless indictments of unfairness. They want a man who drafts battle plans and moves forward, bloodied but unbowed. Victimhood leaks through more than words. It seeps into posture, the rounded shoulders, the slack voice, the distracted eyes always seeking someone else to blame. It taints first impressions and poisons long-term respect. Women spot it immediately, the sighs, the endless "can you believe they did that to me" rants, the inability to pivot after setbacks. Each complaint drives a silent wedge of doubt between you and any woman looking for a builder, not a broadcaster of grievances. The Stoic path demands a brutal, beautiful shift, transform every complaint into a command. When adversity strikes, don't explain it, map it. Draft the steps from obstacle to outcome. Assign yourself tasks like a general assigns regiments. Execute the first step before nightfall. Lost your job? Update your resume before dinner. Ghosted by someone you thought mattered? Book a jiu-jitsu class, redesign your evening routines, schedule networking calls before sunset. Every action denies victimhood oxygen. Every forward move sharpens the line between men who wait and men who win. In conversations, shift what you share. Stop airing grievances. Share blueprints. Yeah, it was rough getting laid off, but it opened time for me to finally certify in project management. Launching next month. When you do that, you pivot from burden to beacon. You radiate the energy of someone too busy creating to waste time complaining. You become a case study in resilience. Women drawn to strength and stability will recognize it instantly, not just in words, but in how your eyes brighten when discussing future plans instead of darkening over past betrayals. Playing the victim also quietly invites chaos into your life. Predators, both personal and professional, sense the weak and offer fake sympathy that deepens the trap. When you radiate blame, manipulators offer more reasons to blame, and soon you're surrounded by low-energy companions who feed the echo chamber. Confidence becomes impossible because all mirrors around you reflect helplessness. Cutting victimhood cuts off this supply chain. Suddenly you find yourself alone for a season, alone but powerful. In that silence, you rebuild sovereignty. You realize that life isn't fair, but life isn't fair for anyone. It's what you do with the unfairness that immortalizes you. And here's the irony. When you own 100% of your outcomes, when you strip every trace of blame from your vocabulary, others will call you lucky. They'll marvel at how the things just seem to work out for you. They won't see the endless pivots you executed in private. They won't understand how many times you built maps by candlelight while others drafted excuses by moonlight. Your so-called luck arrived disguised as relentless ownership. This shift won't happen overnight. Years of narrative inertia pull like gravity. But each day you resist the temptation to explain your pain and instead transmute it into motion. You stack silent victories. You rewire your neurons for solutions. You recalibrate your energy fields to attract allies, mentors, and lovers tuned to progress, not pity. Begin the discipline tonight. Write down 3 grievances you normally vent. For each, list 1 action you can take within 24 hours to pivot from problem to solution. Then execute. Notice the sensation, lightness replacing heaviness, momentum replacing stagnation. Share that progress publicly, on your platforms, in your conversations, not to boast, but to set the standard. Women aren't seeking men with no scars. They seek men whose scars tell stories of battles won, not battles avoided. They lean into men who absorb chaos and return structure. Men who bend injustice toward growth. Men who refuse to hand over narrative control to anyone or anything. Every time you pivot from victim to architect, you add a brick to the fortress of trustworthiness that no flattery can fake. By the time you finish this journey, you won't need to announce you're not a victim. It will be tattooed invisibly on your gait. You'll laugh, you're calm in crisis. You'll build alliances with women and with men who demand strength by demanding it of themselves. And you'll wonder how you ever thought victimhood could attract anything other than more defeat. No one owes you victory. But no one can deny you it either if you stop waiting for conditions to change and start becoming the condition that changes everything. Chapter 5. Overcompensating with bragging. You're 2 minutes into a casual dinner conversation and you've already dropped your earnings bracket, your squat max, and a humble brag about how hard it is to choose between barley or tulum for your next digital detox. You think you're impressing her, that stacking credentials and milestones like trading cards will hook her interest, but in reality, she's tuning out. Bragging, no matter how subtle, is rarely read as confidence. It's received as a glitch in your self-worth algorithm, a performance meant to mask doubt. The Stoics had a word for this distortion, typhos, a fog of vanity and distraction that obscures clarity. True power, they knew, requires no narration. Overcompensation is loud. It needs an audience to validate its worth. You can feel it in men who compulsively steer conversations toward their possessions or their past wins. Back when I ran that 6-figure campaign, I've had 3 people tell me I should be a TED speaker. You've never been to my connos. The impulse behind these insertions isn't communication, it's reassurance. But the moment you seek reassurance, you announce your weakness. Confident men don't need to overinform. Their presence already tells the story. Their achievements arrive with restraint, not broadcast. Stoics like Marcus Aurelius wielded unimaginable power yet wrote to themselves in quiet journals about humility. He reminded himself that emperors turned to dust just like soldiers. He warned against believing one's titles or trophies made the man. In today's world, the translation is simple. It's not what you've done, it's what you're doing and how you move through space. A man who brags about benching 315 while slouching at dinner, chewing with his mouth open, contradicts himself. A man who mentions revenue milestones while interrupting others or dodging eye contact burns more goodwill than he builds. What you say must harmonize with what you are, or silence says more. The Stoic pursuit of ataraxia, tranquility, unshaken by praise or blame, teaches us to value internal calibration over external hype. Your confidence should be so rooted that you could spend an entire evening talking only about the other person and still be remembered as powerful. Shift your language. When you speak about accomplishments, tether them to service, impact, or growth. Yeah, I got promoted this year, but what excites me more is mentoring 2 new guys on the team. Suddenly, ego turns to elevation. She hears ambition, but more importantly, she hears character. Overcompensation doesn't stop at words. It infects wardrobe, posture, and tone. You wear logos like armor, flaunt luxury brands with more pride than poetry. You name-drop acquaintances with influence, hoping proximity upgrades your status. But she's reading something else entirely, desperation for affirmation. Bragging is neediness with better clothes. And the confident man is never needy, not for praise, not for validation, not for attention. He earns it, then forgets to mention it. The truly magnetic man has an online resume that glows quietly in Google searches. His LinkedIn is stacked. His creative portfolio is crisp. His physical transformation is visible. But in conversation, he asks more than he answers. He is more curious about others than invested in their opinion of him. And this asymmetry draws people in. Mystery replaces bravado. Curiosity replaces performance. Women lean in, not because you've impressed them, but because you haven't tried to. They're wondering what else you've done that you didn't feel the need to say. The best part? When you release the need to impress, you start attracting people who aren't impressed by surface-level things. You pull in women who respect your work ethic more than your highlight reel, who sense the calm under your words and trust it. Because what women really respond to is composure, the man who knows what he's capable of and never has to announce it. A quiet nod. A soft thank you. A redirect toward more interesting topics. These subtleties speak louder than any story about your vacation villa in Barcelona. Here's the test. Would you say the same thing if there were no women in the room? Would you mention your salary if your grandfather asked what you've been up to? If the answer is no, don't say it. Practice self-containment. Build the muscle of humility. Let your environment hint at your success, not your monologue. Let her discover your depth slowly, like unfolding chapters in a book, not flipping through PowerPoint slides in a conference pitch. Overcompensation screams, "Please see me." Confidence whispers, "I see myself." The Stoic man doesn't reject excellence, he embodies it. But he wraps it in quiet strength, in steady eyes, in an ability to listen longer than he talks. When you do speak of success, speak of lessons learned, people helped, progress made. This doesn't weaken your power, it amplifies it. She doesn't want your resume, she wants to feel your presence. And nothing kills presence like insecurity dressed in arrogance. Drop the urge to impress. Pick up the habit of mastering your energy. And watch how your silence becomes more attractive than all your stories combined. Chapter 6. Neglecting purpose for attention. You tell yourself it's harmless, scrolling her Instagram story until midnight, subtly shifting your gym session in case she happens to walk past, reshuffling your work calls so you can reply faster when she texts. But each of these micro-decisions, seemingly small, compounds into a silent collapse of focus. What looks like flexibility is often submission to distraction, and what feels like effort is often leakage of power. Attention, when misdirected, becomes a parasite on your purpose. A Stoic doesn't chase shadows, he directs energy to where meaning resides. He doesn't bend his day around someone who hasn't yet earned a permanent seat at his table. Instead, he builds a rhythm that pulls the right people in, or reveals who cannot keep pace. The moment you trade deliberate, purpose-driven action for reactive attention-seeking, you lose altitude. Like a pilot abandoning flight path to wave at ground spectators, you drift further from your destination with every circle. Marcus Aurelius journaled daily not for aesthetics, but to recalibrate mind and mission. That's your task now. Define your mission in 10 words or less. Is it building a business? Finishing a book? Earning a specific title? Becoming mentally and physically indestructible? Write it down. That becomes your North Star. You don't renegotiate with it. You don't delay it for passing flattery. And you certainly don't postpone it for breadcrumbs of digital recognition. Purpose is not a passive quality, it's a beacon. Women track it instinctively, whether they admit it or not. They watch your schedule, not your stories. They study your discipline, not your dopamine spikes. A man who texts every hour, who cancels morning rituals because she hinted at a late-night hang, who can't say, "I'll call you tomorrow, I have work now," does not read as confident, he reads as desperate. The attraction fades not because of what you said, but because of what you betrayed. You don't have a firm enough mission to protect from interruption. And if you won't protect your own direction, you can't be trusted to protect hers either. Begin recalibration now. Choose a single, measurable goal that advances your identity. Block time on your calendar daily for its execution and protect that block like an emperor protects the gates to his city. If invitations arise, drinks, events, random walks, you ask yourself, does this bring me closer to the version of myself that achieves that goal? If not, say no, gracefully, firmly, finally. The right people, including the right women, will not vanish at your boundaries, they will respect them. In fact, they'll mirror them. Your consistency becomes a gravitational field that pulls in those operating on a similar frequency. Do not confuse this with avoidance or coldness. You can still be kind, present, and emotionally open, but not at the cost of your purpose. You don't delay a flight because a stranger asked for one more coffee. You stay on mission, and if she sees that mission clearly and values it, she'll suggest walking alongside you, not pulling you off course. The dynamic shifts. You no longer orbit her interest. She orbits your direction. Let this be your checkpoint. If the last week of your calendar reflects reaction more than design, delete and rebuild. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. Schedule your deep work first. Train hard before checking your phone. Track your hours like currency. Write a weekly war plan on Sunday that revolves around mission pillars, health, income, creation, development, and refuse to break formation for anyone who wouldn't bleed for your cause. The paradox is this: the more you chase attention, the less you receive it. The more you chase mastery, the more the right attention chases you. Women don't follow noise, they follow gravity. Your purpose, when pursued daily, becomes that gravity. The deeper your discipline, the stronger the orbit. And when you build a life structured around something bigger than anyone's validation, you'll find yourself no longer begging for interest. You'll be fielding it with calm discernment, choosing only those whose path strengthens your own. Purpose is attractive not because it's loud, but because it's unwavering. When she sees that your time isn't scattered by her whims, she leans in. Not because she feels challenged, but because she feels secure in the presence of a man who knows where he's going. A man who does not chase attention has already claimed power. And that is the rarest form of magnetism there is. Chapter 7. Disrespecting your own time. Lateness, endless scrolling, chronic indecision, each act silently declares that your time is cheap and expendable. Seneca wrote that wasting one's hours is the greatest theft, worse than losing property, worse than injury, because time once lost can never be regained. A man who treats his minutes like loose coins thrown into a fountain cannot safeguard hers. Women notice this immediately. Every minute you delay without apology, every second you fidget over decisions you should have mastered already, every glance at your phone during conversation signals you are not the architect of your life, you are merely a passenger. Cement punctuality into your identity. Build 5-minute buffers around every obligation. Prepare clothing, gear, and essentials the night before any commitment. Set firm alarms not just for waking, but for departure. When you walk out your door on time, you walk into life ahead of chaos, and that energy is tangible. Delete applications that hijack your attention like slot machines. Social media, endless news feeds, and dopamine traps aren't harmless. They fracture your thinking, erode your capacity for deep focus, and teach your mind to feed on distractions instead of building discipline. Install website blockers during deep work windows. Keep your phone physically in another room when you eat, when you train, when you strategize your next move. Every second you reclaim is a vote cast toward a stronger, freer version of yourself. Treat conversations like chess matches, not rushed or transactional, but deliberate and focused. Think before speaking, respond with clarity, advance the dialogue with purpose. Stoics train daily to speak little but with maximum force, believing wasted words mirror wasted thought. That principle applies now more than ever. When you move through cities with this level of efficiency, you begin to carry an aura, a man on consequential business, even if it's just brunch or an afternoon in the park. She feels it without you explaining it. She notices how you glide through traffic, manage time gracefully, handle logistics without flinching. Her instincts tell her that standing beside you means her hours, her energy, and her future are safe and respected. Respecting your time also reshapes your emotional landscape. Punctuality, clarity, and decisiveness turn you into a man with internal peace, not someone constantly scrambling, apologizing, or catching up. You become unhurried because you are prepared. You become calm because you are aligned. And women, subconsciously trained by survival needs across centuries, feel a magnetic pull to men who bring structure instead of chaos, solutions instead of excuses, grounded plans instead of shifting promises. Guarding your time doesn't mean becoming mechanical or joyless. It means you engineer space for real freedom, spontaneous adventure, deep relationships, masterful craft. Only by honoring structure can you make room for moments that truly matter. Confident men are not rigid, they are agile precisely because they have built unshakable frameworks around their lives. These 7 habits carve trenches between pretenders and the truly grounded. If any mirror stung while you listened, good, that sting is not shame. It's sensitivity waking up after long numbness. Choose one flaw tonight. Name it without excuse. Then engineer a Stoic counter-practice, a nightly 10-minute planning ritual, a Sunday grooming reset, a single powerful no to a wasteful distraction. Build it, test it, refine it. This is how real progress begins, not through slogans, not through waiting for motivation, but through discipline applied one small hour at a time. Comment below the habit you're targeting first, own it publicly. Hit like if this message hammered a point you needed. Subscribe if you're ready to be held to a higher standard week after week. And always remember Epictetus' verdict, freedom is mastery of self. Confident men never surrender that freedom, not to please others, not to chase attention, not to excuse their own apathy. They walk through life with the steady drumbeat of purpose beneath every step, and the world, especially the right women, march alongside them in respect. Epictetus leaves us with the simplest yardstick of power, who, then, is invincible. The one who cannot be upset by anything outside his choice. You've just seen 7 behaviors that confident men banish precisely because each one hands the joystick of their fate to someone else. Strip them out starting tonight. Refuse the easy yes that tramples your boundaries, the needy chase that soils your worth, the validation hunt that drains your spirit, the victim monologue that shackles your potential, and every other subtle surrender we exposed. Now act. Choose one habit you'll delete before you sleep, write it in the comments so the brotherhood can hold you to it. Smash the like button if clarity hit harder than comfort, subscribe for the next Stoic drill, and share this episode with a friend still stuck in the cycle of nice guy concessions. Remember, confidence isn't a mood, it's the sum of thousands of micro-choices that guard your sovereignty. Make those choices sacred, and the right women and the right opportunities will orbit the unshakable gravity of a man finally ruling himself.